Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Nintendo Fanboyz. And Steven done screwed up.
I love when you say that. You said that in your Street Fighter 5
I did.
video, and I never heard about that, but I done screwed up. I did. So what you're watching right now is footage of Jarrod playing Animal Crossing City Folks, I believe it's called, and it's a game for the Wii. However, the game that won the straw poll, which we did in episode 3, if I'm was Animal Crossing Wide World for the Nintendo DS. And I was under the assumption that it was on the Virtual Console. And for some people, it might be. It's just that not us, because I screwed up. I thought it was all over the planet, but it turns out that it's just in Europe. I should have checked my sources better, but I got overexcited. But you know what? This is even better because Animal Crossing City Folk was released like 5 or 6 years after Wide World. So we're getting a more recent version, and a version that I never actually played. So I can't wait to see the footage from this podcast. So I apologize for this. It's all my fault. For once, it's not Jarrod had nothing to do with this. It's just me who was an idiot.
Well, before we jump into our proper podcast, I actually want to talk a little bit about this because I have not played a Wii game. I think the last one most likely was Xenoblade Chronicles. That was released after Skyward Sword, was it not?
I have no idea.
Well, anyways, it was one of those two games that I played, and I boxed it up like the day I got my Wii U. I boxed it up and was like, well, goodbye. And I packed up all my games, and I brought some over to my folks' place. But I had forgotten that... okay, let me pause that story for a second. Steven was... okay, boy, I can't speak today. My brain's going all over the place. When I checked the Virtual Console this morning to capture the footage, I'm looking, and I click on DS, and I see, like, I think it's like 8 games, 10 games, something like that. And I'm like... sort by name, and the first game starts with a B, and so I'm like, Steven, what the hell? So I send him a text, and you're like, no, of course it is, check on Nintendo DS. I'm like, what the hell? So I took pictures, I sent to him, I'm like, and then he's like, okay, well then just check out the Wii one, and I'm like, I don't have it. And so then he was texting a whole bunch of stuff, but I left my phone on the sofa, and I hear it going crazy, beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, good Lord, man. And I'm assuming that he's telling me like 500,000 games. I had said that the runner-up was Yoshi's Woolly World, but I didn't want to spend, like $60 or $70 on a game right now. It's like, really? So, and I was kind of in the mood for it, and I jokingly said like, oh, well, I'll just jump to Zero Mission. But I agreed with like what you said, where you were like, oh man, like it's going to get monotonous if I'm just playing the same thing, like another Metroid game. So anyways, I dug through my lovely retro box that I have here, and I actually have a whole buttload of Wii games. I've forgotten that I had mixed those with a PlayStation 3 lot.
Do you
of
know
games.
why? It's because about 3 years ago you did a video where you bought a bunch of Wii games. And you probably boxed them right after you bought them, but you were in them. Since you didn't play much of the Wii, you didn't want to miss out, and you bought a bunch of Wii games. And that's
right.
I remember that you had City Folk, and I assumed that it would probably be at your house because that video was like 3 years or 2 years ago. So I thought that it could be at your house.
Well, you were right, man, and you're right. I remember that. I went on like a rampage because at that particular point in time, Wii games were selling for peanuts, and probably still are, actually. Like, I picked up so many games for like $5, $10, like next to nothing. Anyways, so now let's get back on track. So all that to say, I do have the game. I'm going to play it now. I don't have a clue how many episodes we'll do with this until you guys either get bored or someone says, okay, enough. But anyways, so going back to the topic at hand here, which was the fact that I hadn't played in the Wii in a very long time. So just connecting it up, putting, the sensor bar, because I never have my sensor bar connected to my Wii U. And the reason for that is because the cat loves the cord. He already destroyed 2 sensor bars. So, yeah, needless to say, I put it away. So anyways, just trying to find the damn sensor bar. Once I found the game, I'm like, oh man, where the hell's my Wiimote? Oh man, where's my nunchuck? And they're buried under a mountain of controllers and cables and stuff. I have an ottoman that in my ottoman is basically 7 generations of controllers and stuff like that. Like, it's insane. Anyway, so I found my Zelda manette, my controller there, the Wiimote. But I can't find the gold nunchuck, so it looks retarded, but whatever. And anyway, so I connect it all up, boot it into Wii mode, plop in the disc, sit down for the adventure of a lifetime. And the very first thing it asks you to do is put in your name. And that's when I remembered why I disliked the Wii. I know there's a lot of fans. I mean, obviously, like, if you're listening to this, chances are you are a Nintendo fan, or at least are interested in Nintendo news and topics. So I'm sure we're going to get a lot of Wii fans, and I think we did when we've talked about this in the past. But for me, the Wii was a system that, to me, could have been one of Nintendo's greatest systems of all time if they would have just done one thing. And that is, if they would have allowed you to use the Pro Controller for all the games that could have supported it. If they would have done that, I truly think that the Wii would be one of my favorite systems ever. But because all of the games were forced to use the Wiimote, and only the Wiimote and nunchuck, it's ridiculous. Like, you gotta see... In the video, you guys will see that when I want to go into, like, my pocket, you can either press the minus button, but even if you press the minus button, you cannot use the analog stick to select an item. You have to use the pointer. If you want to type your name, you got to use the pointer. Now, that's not so bad, typing your name and stuff like that. But when you want to switch between the shovel, the fishing rod, and the net, it is such a pain in the ass, because you constantly have to point, then select your option, point. It could have been so easy if I could have just, pressed, like, say, like the plus or minus button, and then just use the analog stick to highlight the one I want, click, and be done with it. I know, maybe to a lot of people it's like, oh, well, it's no big deal, you're just pointing, whoop-de-doo. But to me, it's annoying. Like, I just want to have one interface, and when my hands are down, like I'm lying on the sofa or sitting on the sofa, and I constantly have to move my leg and move my arm because of the way I was positioned, it's just annoying, you know what I mean? Like, if I want to sit down and just relax and veg, put my legs on the ottoman and just sort of like, lie on the couch, I can't do that because I constantly have to raise my hand in order to point stuff. And it's just, I know it seems like a silly complaint, most likely, to a lot of you guys, but it's so funny that after not having played the Wii in probably years now, that to capture this footage, I was immediately annoyed. Like, immediately annoyed with the interface. And it's so funny because this isn't even the type of game where, it's not an action game or anything like that. This is a very relaxing game. And I thought it was really interesting that I was annoyed almost instantly.
Are you sure there's no control options to switch it so that you can just use the Wii sideways? The Wiimote sideways and use a D-pad like a normal game? Like, there's no options whatsoever because...
Not that I saw.
I never played this game, but I know that it had issues, but that sounds ridiculous because that makes the games way longer and way harder to play than it needs to be, because in Animal Crossing, you're basically going into your menu all the time. And
exactly.
If you need to use the pointer, it's... Man, I feel for you having to play that now because it's ridiculous. Like, they must... I'll do some research after, but maybe you're right. Maybe there's no options whatsoever to play without the pointer. But that seems ridiculous for me. But I know Nintendo back that was why I didn't play much of my Wii. Most of the games they released, especially during the early days of the Wii's lifetime, they forced the Wii U controls on you all the time. Even with the New Super Mario Brothers Wii, where you needed to like wiggle the remote to jump or do a spin jump or something, stuff like that. Like it was annoying for me because it didn't add anything to the game. It was just Nintendo trying to justify their decisions. And like I said many times, like the only game I believe on the Wii that truly made good use of the Wiimote was Skyward Sword, and that came like 5 years after the Wii's release. So for me, that's why I always thought the Wii was like the most disappointing system that Nintendo ever made, even though it probably has some fantastic games that I missed out on.
Yeah, man, and like I said, I there's no reason for it. Like there's just no reason. The one that annoyed me the most was Donkey Kong. Man, I cannot tell you how hyped.
The thing about Donkey Kong was that you can play it with a Pro Controller. That one I know because my girlfriend at the time was playing it with the motion controls and whatnot. And when you need Donkey Kong needs to slap the ground, you need to do it. And I just said screw that, and I put a week on Pro Controller, and I played the game like a regular platformer. So that one I know that you can play it with a Pro Controller.
But that was the game, man. Like, that was the game that I was just so, like, I was like, what the hell, man? Because I didn't know, like, when it first came out or whatever. But I stand by what I said. I think that if all those games, you would have had that option, and really, for programming purposes, it would have been a joke to do. They just mapped the thing to the buttons, whoop-de-doo. But anyway, so, yeah, let me know. If you find out anything, let me know. I know that when I went to save, you have to go up into the attic in order to save, and there was a telephone, and when I pushed the telephone, I forget which character it was asking, oh, do you need help with this, that, or the other thing, but it wasn't, I didn't see controls in, like, list. It's basically like a menu system, and I didn't see controls there, but let me know, because I know you can use the analog stick to select options for, like, let's say I go to the museum and I want to donate like a bunch of fish or something. You can use the analog stick to select donate yes or no. That's it. But when it comes to actually highlighting the items in the menu, you have to point. Okay. There is no icon or anything. And that's why, like, I'm getting bloody annoyed because, like, as you said, you're constantly going in and out of the menu, and by having to point every 2 seconds, it's like I have to sit in a specific spot on the sofa, and that's really annoying. Anyway, so with that, we can begin this podcast. How about that? We're only like 4 hours in already. Now, I'm going to warn you all right now that this is probably going to be a 3-hour podcast. So, strap yourselves in, and let's get going.
Awesome.
Okay, so to begin, at the time of this recording, we're recording this on Friday, March 4th. Yesterday, that would be Thursday, March 3rd, there were, I don't know if there were 3 Nintendo Directs or just 2. I know there was one in Europe and North America, but I don't know if there was one in Japan. Do you know?
No, I assume there was one in Japan, but no, I do not know.
Okay, well, anyways, we're going to be focusing mainly on the North American one. In fact, we're only going to be talking about the North American one. And I just grabbed all of this from a site. I believe it was Nintendo Life. So if I'm missing anything, Steven will chime in or whatever. And I'm just going to very briefly touch on a whole bunch of different things, and I'll talk about whatever I feel like talking about. You can cut me off if there's anything you want to talk about.
Sounds good.
So the first thing was basically talking about Star Fox Zero, and Miyamoto was on there, and he was showing like portals and saying like this is going to change the universe and change everything that you know about Star Fox, and like seriously, he was making a big deal out of this. The game really looks good. That's the first thing I was like, man, this looks really good. Still really don't like the whole control scheme idea because I don't think that's going to be intuitive when you play. They announced a two-player mode, though, that could be interesting, where someone uses the Pro Controller to, what was it, to shoot or something?
Yeah, you basically control the same ship, but one is the gunner and one is the pilot.
Yeah, okay. So basically, and that's exactly how the single-player game works, too. One of them controls, what is it, the gamepad is what controls your firing, right? The direction?
I have no clue, man. Like, that's my main problem with Star Fox, is that's something with Nintendo and Miyamoto in particular. He's really hardcore on his controls scheme. He always wants to find some new ways to play video games, and sometimes you don't need that. And with Star Fox, like he said in the video, that this is a game that over time you get better at it with practice. It's just, not everybody has time to invest to be able to play the game. Like every game out there, every single game you name, with time, with practice, you get better. It's just the way game goes. But with this, I'm afraid that it's going to be extremely hard to control. And I hope there's a classic control option, but so far it doesn't seem like there's one, and that's a problem for me.
And I think you just nailed it. I don't think there's going to be, and it sucks because from like an arcade style shooter, which I like to say this is what this is. It looks great. Like it actually looks like a lot of fun, but I don't think I'm going to pick this up. I think I'm going to wait for the reviews just to see about the controls, because if everybody's like, oh yeah, they get better with time and this and that, then forget it. I'm not going to pick it up because I know that I'll just never play it. It's that simple.
Yeah, Splatoon had something similar with me. Splatoon, the default mode for Splatoon has gyro controls to aim, and I know some people say that the best way to play shooters is with gyro controls or even the pointer and stuff like that. I just can't. I can't. I hate it. I remember when they introduced PlayStation Move, I was at E3 that year, and I tried like some SOCOM shooter or something with the Move controller, and it's like, I'm just not one of those guys that can play a shooter with the new controls. I need the two control sticks. You can, but with Splatoon though, you can do it. So as soon as I did that, I had no problem after that. Besides the damn like sticks where they are on the Wii controller, I never understand why they did that. But with Star Fox, they just need to do it. Swallow your pride. If you want people to play a certain way, you can't do that in this day and age. You can't tell people how to play games. That's just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And now, moving on to the next... these aren't going to be necessarily...
Well, let's talk a bit about... There's another game now packed in with Star Fox that he announced.
Oh, yeah.
It's
not even on my list.
I believe it's called...
Guard.
Star Fox Guard or something like that. And it seems like a very basic minigame that... Like something that I would have probably been really into like 15 years ago when I was living in my parents' basement, having nothing else to do but playing games. But now I just don't see myself investing in this game. But who knows? And it's a pack-in, so I can't complain about that. It looks decent. We'll see.
Yeah. I basically that's exactly what I can say. It's the exact same thing that I think. Had this been a standalone release, I probably would have been like, yeah, I don't think so. But the fact that they're packing it in, yeah, sure, why not? It looks okay. It looks cool. All right. So, like I said, I'm sure I'm going to miss stuff. Like, good catch with that, man. Okay, so next thing was they talked about at least to me, I didn't know about this, but they talked about another Paper Mario, a new Paper Mario coming to Wii U called Paper Mario Color Splash, and I'll let you talk a bit about it.
It's funny that you say it was news to you. I told you a few podcasts ago that it was coming.
Well, that shows you how much I listen to you.
Yeah, you don't. There was rumors about a new Paper Mario coming to Wii U, and it was basically pretty much confirmed because the source was credible. So that was not a surprise to me. I don't know. The rumor said it was developed by Intelligent Systems, but they didn't mention much about the game. It's funny how this series has turned into like more of a gimmicky kind of thing now with the Sticker Star and the spin-off with Mario and Luigi. Like this did not look at with a quick glance that we saw like a full-fledged Paper Mario RPG. It looked more like kind of like Super Paper Mario in the sense that I don't know. It has a gimmick, the color thing, which could be interesting, but there's a habit. I was hoping they'd go back to the standard set by the 1,000-year-old door and just deliver a solid RPG with a great storyline. And maybe that game is that. We didn't know much about it, but from the quick glance we saw, it doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, it doesn't. And it's a shame about that because Paper Mario, from my understanding, or not really understanding, but more memory, which my memory is like a sieve. But anyway, that stemmed from Super Mario RPG's Legend of the Seven Stars or whatever it was that Square I was going to say Square Enix, that Squaresoft made way back when on the Super Nintendo. And when we moved into the Nintendo 64, that was sort of like almost like the unofficial or the spiritual successor to it. And yeah, it's weird. It's like ever since, like you said, was it 1,000-Year Door?
Yep.
That it's totally changed. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't really have much I'm going to say. And I'm going to let you do the next part completely about Super Mario Maker because you are the Super Mario Maker whore.
All right, so they announced another big update to the game. They basically did 2 already where they're going to add new stuff to the game, which pretty much makes me sad that I'm not really playing it anymore because none of my friends, basically all of my friends have stopped playing it like months and months ago. And what they announced was that the spiky pillars from Super Mario World are going to be available now to make new levels. And the best thing, I believe, is that they're adding keys to the game and doors that can only be opened with such keys. So they're actually going to be purposes to boss fights now. You can actually make a boss battle mandatory by having that boss holding a key. So the only way to get that key is to defeat that boss. So that's pretty interesting. And they're also going to be adding red coins to the game, so people will be able to scatter red coins throughout the courses. And those red coins, once you collect them all, unlocks a key. So what you do with that key is up to you. You can either make it mandatory to collect those to finish a level, or just create a nice bonus door that has a really interesting power-up in there that will make the rest of the level easier. So, like for my taste, it creates a lot of new opportunities to create levels. Will I ever get back to it? I hope so, but time will tell.
All right, cool. And I thought that was pretty neat, man. When I saw the keys, I was like, oh, man, there's going to be some really cool stuff that some people are going to make for sure. Some of the best. That's one of the main reasons why I love Super Mario World was because of those damn keys. I thought that was a really ingenious concept back then, so that's kind of neat. Now, this part, the next couple of things I was tuning in and out because while the direct was playing, I was actually in like a chapter of Fire Emblem, so I was sort of tuning in and out. But apparently now we have something called Tokyo Mirage Sessions. What is that?
I'm not sure because there was a game. And I believe this is the game called, it was tentatively, loosely called Shin Megami Cross Fire Emblem in Japan. Like, that was the loose translation of the game. And I believe this is what it is. Because I know that that game was released in Japan some time ago, and it has been on, I believe Best Buy has it for a while now, and they literally call it Shin Megami Cross Fire Emblem. And I'm not sure what the final title is. You probably have it in your notes, but that looks like it's the game that was announced a long time ago that I believe is already out in Japan, and it looks like a very, very weird RPG with dancing elements and singing elements and some kind of traditional JRPG battle system crossed with Fire Emblem characters. So it's going to be an interesting game. It looks a bit too weird for my taste, but some of you guys might enjoy that.
Okay. That's the one. Okay. And I know that there's also going to be, they announced a free Splatoon update and saying that they're going to continue into 2016. But since you're not really a huge fan and I've never played it.
Did they say it was going to be free?
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that part because I thought that the last free DLC was already released, and I thought that maybe this would be some more DLC, but maybe they would charge for it. But no, you're probably right. I just missed that.
Yeah, because what they were saying about the update, they didn't talk about it like DLC. They mainly said like what they're tweaking and stuff like that. So if they do put out like all new maps and stuff, that will most likely they'll charge now moving forward. But this, I think they were simply referring to just the character tweaks and stuff like that. Okay. Again, this was something that I wasn't paying any attention to, which was Lost Reavers open beta, which is going to kick off in April. Are you interested at all in that?
Not really, to be honest. It sounds like something that's neat for Wii U fans. It's going to be a free-to-play game with probably tons of microtransactions. So, but no, it didn't attract me in any way.
All right. Then we've got Mario and Sonic, the latest, at Rio 2016 Olympic Games will be coming out later this summer. And again, for me, I've never played any of these. I know you played, one or two of them, so...
Yeah, I have the first two on Wii. The original one was fantastic. Like, I rented it with a buddy when I was living in Hull, and we went to Ottawa where he was, and we had, like, one of those nights where... we basically played till 6 in the morning with lots of rum and cokes, and basically when we got up the next day, we were sore all over the place, and we didn't even notice it while we were playing, probably because of all the Coca-Cola we drank, and it was an amazing game. And then when I got the second one, which was actually the Vancouver one, it was greatly disappointing because that's when they brought all the Nintendo gimmicks. Like suddenly the first one was very, very very traditional. Like there was sure a few special games for like the added Nintendo elements like Mario Party stuff. But most of the events were actually like the old NES Stadium event games, or not Stadium event, but those games where you needed to tap lots of buttons and stuff like that. Like that was a blast. The second game, they basically turned it into a minigame frenzy, and I never played the series since. And I assume it hasn't changed much.
Yeah, probably not. But it must be selling well if they continue to make them. So if you're excited for that, well, there you go. And again, this is something I did not really pay attention, unless this is for Europe. But I've got a note here, Super Meat Boy confirmed for Wii U.
I actually did not see that.
Yeah, it's probably for
Europe. So it
Europe.
might be for Europe, or it might be that I also was not paying attention, but I don't remember that.
It's okay. Like I said, I got this from Nintendo Life, and they're a European site, so chances are high that that I'm going to talk about stuff that either wasn't even spoken about. But hey,
that's Project Suey for you. We're very professional.
Right. Damn right. The way we roll. Okay, so this is the big one. This is the one that Steven just does not understand. We're going to switch gears now to just news pertaining to the 3DS. And this is something that he was texting me forever, and I said, you're overthinking it. And he disagrees completely, but I have to be right, because there is no logical explanation for this whatsoever. And that is the fact that Super Nintendo games will be arriving on the Virtual Console exclusively on the new Nintendo 3DS.
And 3 titles are actually up since yesterday.
Which one?
Super Mario World, F-Zero, and I forgot, I believe it's Pilot Wings, but I might be wrong. There's another one, which is awesome because Super Mario World is fantastic. I'm going to be getting that one. But you're saying that they're doing that as an incentive to sell more new 3DS systems. And I say that's total crap, and I'll explain to you why.
Explain away.
Why would you sacrifice potential sales? There's over 50 million 3DS users. There's barely a million or two new 3DS systems sold. So why would you sacrifice millions and millions of potential sales to make people buy a system for Super Nintendo games? Like, kids these days, nobody cares about the Super Nintendo. Like, hardcore fans and some fans will want these games. That's a nice bonus for them, but that's not really a selling point for, like, 10-year-old kids to go buy a new 3DS. Hey, you'll be able to play games you never heard of. Woohoo! Woohoo! Like, there has to be a better reason. Like, I assume it was easier for them this way, and they're going to be working on putting those on the regular 3DS later on. It has to, because they're sitting on millions and millions of potential sales there. So it doesn't make any sense. I don't buy that simple Jarrod Nicole explanation.
Well, here's the deal. There is no logical explanation at all. Like, period. That was my original answer to you when I saw this, was like, it doesn't make sense. Like, period. And the only thing I could think of, which again, it doesn't make sense, is that because like the iPhone 3, which was less powerful than the Nintendo 3DS, had emulators on it. Like, this, it doesn't make sense. This makes zero sense. If they wanted to, they could easily put this on the DS, probably. Like, this doesn't make sense. There's no way around, in any shape, way, or form, does this make any sense that it would be exclusive to the 3DS. Like, I don't know, man. I really don't know. Because I don't get it. And if people are going to start arguing elsewhere, they can't. I mean, the PSP had emulators on it. Like, even the Neo Geo X has emulators on it. And that thing is, like, weak as hell. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Either way, whatever the case may be, whatever the reasoning is for it, it's still pretty cool that the Super Nintendo games, are going to be coming to the 3DS.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Mario World again and Earthbound. I have it on my Wii U. I've never touched it. Maybe now, once I'm done playing what I'm playing right now, which we'll talk later on, I might finally get a chance to experience Earthbound, and I really hope they bring Origins also to the 3DS Virtual Console, which they should.
They should. That they should. More news. A lot of news today. Well, obviously, because it was a direct, but we're about halfway done with the news, I'd say. They showed a video on Metroid Prime Federation Force. But, okay, before I talk about it, what did you think of what they talked about, what they showed?
Basically, they did a lot of damage control. It was clear from the get-go that they were there to defend the title, and they did an admirable job, but they forgot one single thing, and I'll let you talk. Just resume the thing, and we'll continue with that.
Okay. What do you want me to say?
So you had nothing. I thought you had...
Oh, no. Yeah. Okay. I thought... okay. So, all right. So, yeah, I mean, as soon as they started, and they start talking about, like, how long ago it was that they started development of this, and it was originally a DSi title, meaning that it was just going to be some quick little mini game, which it sure looks like. Damage control galore, and they were saying that, you know, they realized that you can't play as Samus because, well, it was going to be a multiplayer game, everyone would want to be Samus, you know, all this, whatever. I don't want to say BS, but whatever. But for me, like, just seeing this, I was like, guys, like, this is gonna bomb bad. No matter what, this is gonna tank. People aren't going to go out and you know, and even if they do purchase this, what people want is another Metroid game. That's it. Like, they just want another Metroid game in the traditional sense, either a Metroid Prime or as a 2D game. I mean, honestly, at this point, I would take either or. I don't care. It would just be nice to return to that bounty hunter vixen, and it just sucks that that really doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So what is your one thing?
They kept mentioning that this was going to be a true Metroid Prime game and a great addition to the Metroid Prime series. And then right about up to that, they mentioned how this was going to be a multiplayer game. Since when is Metroid Prime a multiplayer game?
Exactly.
Did you ever play Metroid Prime and thought, man, this would really need some nice multiplayer elements to this? Like they tried it with Metroid Prime 2. Nobody even bothered playing that. I don't even think they added multiplayer to Corruption. They released Metroid Prime Hunters on the DS. Nobody even knows that game exists anymore. We all forgot about it. Like, it's fine that you want to experiment, but that's not a Metroid Prime game. Call it something else. I'm sure the game will be fine. I'm sure it will be fun. We're just pissed because it has the Metroid Prime name on it, and in all those years, it's been like the last game was Corruption on the Wii. You haven't released anything since.
That's hey. There was Other M, damn it.
That was the only reason why people are pissed at that game, is because if you would be releasing, like, if you would announce, like, Retro or working on Metroid Prime 4, everybody would be okay. Give us Metroid Prime Federation Force. We're cool with that. But no, it's just Nintendo being Nintendo sometimes. I get why they want to do damage control. They're still making a game. There's a team working on this, and they're proud of their product. It might be a fantastic game, but it's not a Metroid Prime game. That's the only point I wanted to make.
You forgot Other M, damn you.
I know you said it earlier. I just ignored you.
I know. How dare you? But really, I don't understand this. The fundamental, like, all of their core series, maybe I'm going to tangent here, but this is classic Jarrod. To me, Nintendo's, like, legacy characters, the reason why these characters are still relevant today is because each series has retained that one core element that has always made it so interesting. So for Mario, it's simple, mindless fun. And that's it. It's really tight controls, great platforming, and it's a fun game. Doesn't matter what they've done over the years. Look at the 3D World, look at Super Mario World, look at Super Mario Brothers, look at New Super Mario Brothers, look at Mario Maker. All of those type of games, and Super Mario 64, all those games share that one element in common. Tight controls, great platforming, and they're really fun games. Zelda, it's always been about the mystery or the allure of adventure, of exploring. That's it. That's it. It doesn't matter if you look at Majora's Mask or if you look at the original Legend of Zelda. They share that same thing in common. It's about finding out more about this world. What you know, it's like going into a forest for the first time when you're a kid and you're looking around and the light hits through a dense forest in a certain way and you get this sort of mysterious allure. That's Zelda. Whenever I tell people what is the appeal of Zelda, it's that. It's as simple as that. With Metroid, it was always about isolation. You're alone. That was the thing that has kept that series going all the way till today, is the fact that you're isolated, you're trapped, you have no escape. It is you and just you on a mysterious planet, on a space station, on a whatever. And even if you do have some colleagues or other members or what have you, it's that feeling of isolation, of knowing that you're stuck here. I just finished the playthrough. Well, it wasn't a playthrough, but I just finished playing through Metroid Fusion, and I was amazed at how well that feeling transferred over onto that game on the Game Boy Advance, for goodness sakes. And it's really annoying to me when a company owns an IP and they try, like, I'm all for side games, side quests, side whatever. I'm okay with that. Like, really, I don't have anything wrong with Metroid Prime Federation Force as a game itself. It's okay, but it's like what you said. If you're saying that this is truly, another entry in the series and it's stands up there with Metroid Prime, come on, guys. Like, come on, you're missing what the main fundamental of Metroid was, if you want to consider it like a mainstay entry in the series. And that's sad. And Sega's been pissing me off like that for years and years and years, holding all kinds of amazing IPs and just letting these things rot. And it's like F-Zero is another one for Nintendo. All that is about mindless fun at blistering fast paces, or blistering fast speed, and having some really crazy level design and tracks. That's it. And it's okay to have that. That's the thing that bothers me with Nintendo a lot of times, is where they feel the need, going back to like Miyamoto with Star Fox, like having the need to do something different. I get it. You don't want it to become Assassin's Creed. You don't want to stagnate these characters and things like that. Well, fine. But if you put out one F-Zero a generation, no one's going to complain. We're not going to get oversaturated, for God's sakes. We're going to be happy. If you gave me one Mario, one Zelda, one Metroid, one F-Zero, one Mario Kart, one Fire Emblem, I would be perfectly cool with that. I really would be. I would be A-okay. And that's what really upsets me about Metroid Prime, Federation Force, is the fact that I feel like I've waited way too long. I feel like we're in the N64 era again, waiting and waiting and waiting for that next isolated game where I'm alone on some mysterious planet and I want to explore, but I'm also a little nervous because I don't know what's like across the hallway or whatever. And it sucks, man.
No, you said it, man. I would just repeat what you just said. I think everything you said was perfectly representative of Nintendo's current mindset.
Ah, damn it. Now I have to speak again. Okay, well, where was I? Okay, here we go. How many of you like Monster Hunter 4? I don't hear anyone. Well, the follow-up, Monster Hunter Generations, and again, this is one, being honest, I actually did not pay any attention to. I imported Monster Hunter 4G on my my new 3DS. I think that was actually the first game I had for it, and it was fun while it lasted, but it didn't last long. And
you mean you didn't play it for long, because that's like $100 game. So
yeah. Absolutely. It wasn't about fun. Sorry. If I made it sound like that, it wasn't that. I didn't get bored with it or anything. It was just moved on to other stuff, which is classic Jarrod, which is what I've been trying to fight all year long.
Yeah, this reminds me, by the way, this is the part of Monster Hunter X that was literally leaked, well, not leaked, but heavily rumored before the Direct. And so I was not surprised at it. I was happy that it was announced, because Monster Hunter is a great series. I haven't really played it, but I've heard tons of good things. And the more games they release here, the more the series grows. And that's just a smart thing to do. And I just wanted to quickly say, like I talked about, like in episodes of Canadian Gamers and in former episodes of Fanboyz, how much I try to play games that I want to play now, and not just play games because I feel the need to. Like I mentioned a few times, I completed Dragon Quest Heroes, and that was a 40-hour game, even though after 10 hours I was bored with it. I basically forced myself to play it, and I wondered, why did I do that? Like I had no actual need to do that. It's not like I was paid to play it. I didn't need to write a review, or even if I did, I'm not paid to do that again, so I had absolutely no need to play that game. So now a similar scenario arrived with Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. I basically said that not the last Fanboyz, but the one before it, that I was 15 hours in, that I was almost done with it, and that I would have a review up soon. I would still like to review it. I believe that after 15 hours into a game, I can form an opinion on a game and review it. Like, you can take it with a grain of salt. Like, you can take any reviewer's content with a grain of salt. It's always opinion based, and that's fine. The thing that I'm glad I did is that I stopped playing, because I had fun with the game. I'd say for the first 10 hours I was having a blast, but the last 5 I was really forcing myself to play the game, and at one point I realized there was just no point for it. Like, I have a lot of things I would like to say about the game, and there's some positive about it, but like, if I'm not enjoying myself, why would I play it? And that's just, you said something, I don't know what you just said, and that made me go off on this little subject. And
that's okay. That's fine, because that's sort of like me and Monster Hunter and Final Fantasy Explorers. There, like, I was enjoying myself till about the 3-star missions, and then after that I was like, okay, this is getting like tedious. I've fought Ifrit 400 times now. I'm good, and thankfully for me, I'm like that now too. I've been a very good boy so far this year. We're in March, and even like a bit of last year, like I'd say probably mid last year, I've been getting better and better at this. I just stopped now. Like, I'm the same way. Like, I just don't have time. It's as simple as that. It doesn't make sense. Why the hell am I going to play something for 40 hours just to say I completed it? Like, okay, do I get like a bonus for that, or do I get like an award or something? It doesn't make any sense. So for me personally, I was really happy when Fire Emblem came along, and I think when I'm done with Birthright with Fire Emblem, I think what I'm going to do, depending on the time, I might go back, and I don't know if I'm going to try Conquest or if I would go straight into Revelation, but I think what I'll do, I might just make it super relaxing for myself, and just I might put the permadeath off and just do it for the story, and just sit back and make it like a 10-hour game or something like that. And the only reason for that is I would like to see the remainder of the story, but I don't want to have to grind, and I don't want to have to put myself in a position where the later maps I'm totally screwed because I have an army of 3.
Well, you bought the game, so you can play the game however you damn feel. It's
exactly
just, with time and our age and our jobs and our lives. It's not like we have time to play games back like 15 years ago and stuff like that. It's just, you're absolutely right. Like, for me, I would tell you, though, as soon as you finish Birthright, make a review of it, you bastard.
Yeah, I told you.
Play whatever you want.
Already done footage, man.
I stopped playing Conquest. I know I'll get back into it. We'll talk a bit about that later, but it's just some games right now that I'm just addicted.
Yeah,
but I'm glad I'm having fun, so there's no problem here. It's just that my old self is kind of fighting my new self, and kind of like, why are you not playing Fire Emblem? It's an awesome game. It's like, there's no rush. I can play it later. Like, I have to tell myself that sometimes.
No, exactly, man. Okay, so we're going to skim through some of this other stuff for the news, unless you've got a bunch of stuff to say, only because I want to get into our main topics and stuff. Well, we've got Hyrule Warriors Legends. Was interesting because, and I'm wondering if this seems to be the way Nintendo's going, especially as of late. I've noticed there's been a lot of DLC. Anyways, they confirmed that there will be a season pass. Now, is this their first season pass?
Well, technically there was one with Mario Kart, although that was just there was just 2 different DLC, but you can buy them, and like, if you bought them all the first, you got a discount. So I guess it's kind of the same principle, but I think this is the first time they use the term season pass.
Because, anyways, it's going to have 4 different waves of DLC. And this is one, as much as I would like to purchase it, I won't be buying this. And the reason why is because I barely played the other one. Well, I say barely, that's a lie. I played it quite a bit, but I don't know. I find these as much as I enjoyed Hyrule Warriors, I don't know if I want to revisit that.
Yeah, same thing with me. I really enjoyed Hyrule Warriors. I think it was my fourth game of 2014 in our top 10 games of the year that year. But it's just so recent, and I can't imagine this will feel like a different game. It will probably be like a new storyline, but basically the same gameplay. And I just played Heroes, which is basically the same thing. So it's like I'm pretty satisfied with that gameplay thing. It's just I'll probably get it and try it, but I'm not sure if I'll enjoy it as much as I did with the Wii U version. But yeah, I'm glad that Nintendo's releasing it. That's more content for 2DS owners. I'm glad there's DLC stuff, so people that really love this stuff can play it like for months and months. So it's good stuff. It's just like for me, like I played so much of these Dynasty Warriors type of thing that I'm feeling a fatigue out of these games for now.
Yeah. All right, so next up we have Kirby. What the heck was it actually called?
I have no clue.
Well, there's some new Kirby that's coming out.
You probably have it in your notes, no?
No, that's what I'm looking at. It just says Kirby is taking a trip to planet Robobot.
Yeah, I think it's called Kirby Robobot Planet. Maybe. Just Google it while I talk.
All right, talk.
I did not really look at this because this was the last announcement, and it's cool, but I thought it was a weak way to end the Direct because like Kirby games, we get Kirby games every year. They're always fine, solid games, but it's nothing to get excited about for me, anyways. And we got a new Kirby game for the 3DS in 2014, so it hasn't been that long of a gap between these games. So we'll see. It looks like there's another gimmick in there with some mech fights and stuff like that. But this will probably turn out to be a pretty solid game. It was disappointing for me. What's the game? The name?
It's called. You're right. It's Kirby Planet Robobot.
Okay. But for me, and I don't know if you were planning on talking about this, but for me, there was something telling about this Direct. Like, they said they were going to talk about summer and spring games only, and then you forgot to talk. They mentioned Dragon Quest VII and how...
Yeah, I'm not done yet.
Okay. You're not done yet? So, okay, I'll let you talk, and we'll talk about this later.
This guy is jumping all over the place.
Direct with that, so I was confused by your order.
Well, it wasn't my order. Okay, so very quickly, a couple of things. We've got Rhythm Heaven Megamix. We've got Azure Striker Gunvolt 2, Pocket Card Jockey, and these are all titles coming to the 3DS. They also finally confirmed when the Bravely Second End Layer demo is coming out. And if you don't know, Bravely Default, the demo was actually really fun for that game, and it actually is a very good RPG. If you're a fan of JRPGs, go check out Bravely Default. That was a really good one. If I had my damn capture card thing for the DS, I would have reviewed that because that was an excellent game. And I'm actually very much looking forward to Bravely Second. I've got that pre-ordered, and I don't remember when it comes out, but it's a while from now. So anyways, the demo, I think ours is in April. The demo comes out March 10th. And then finally, what I wanted to discuss was Dragon Quest VII, but still no release date. Did you notice that?
Yeah, there's no release date, but it sounds like a summer game. That's what.
Yeah, it does. And also something, some news that was announced for that I thought was interesting was the fact that the game was fully retranslated. That's interesting, because Dragon Quest VII is one of the largest Dragon Quest games of all time. And easy that you could invest 60 to 80 hours in the main game, and because of the class system, you could easily go double that. And I'm not exaggerating. You could really, really lose yourself to this game depending on how addicted you get to it. So that's impressive, man, that they totally retranslated it. Now, I doubt they're going to say the same thing for 8, because the translation was excellent on that one. But I thought it was interesting that they didn't show 8 at all either, which I think is good.
Yeah, it's smart for them because they can't.
Exactly.
They need both games to sell, so they can't announce both at this. Well, they already did, but they can't like push both and market both at the same time.
Okay, so now you can go and talk about the only other thing was there's some Amiibo stuff, but we're going to talk about that later on.
Where's Zelda?
Nowhere.
Yeah, there was no mention of Zelda, and I know this. They said spring and summer games, but they did talk about games that are going to be released later. It seems to me that Zelda on an X seems more and more true every day now. Because
are you surprised?
Well, kind of, because I'm sure they're going to release it on Wii U also, and it seems weird that we don't know nothing about the game, nothing, and it's supposed to come out this year. So, well, it was supposed to come out last year too. So, who knows now? But it seems weird. Something's fishy about Zelda on Wii U.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Twilight Princess. I'm sure it's going to be exactly like that, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't know. Like it's sort of sad that they're you know, basically what was Wii U Zelda then?
Yeah, well, I guess they never anticipated the Wii U to sell so poorly, so. Like the Wii U is only in its third or fourth year, and so it shouldn't be. It should still have a year or two of prime time ahead of it. So that's why I don't think Nintendo ever expected that. So now they're probably forced to move it to the NX or at least do the Twilight Princess scenario, which is not ideal.
No, it's not, and I always say that. And people don't really understand. I had this debate with Twilight Princess actually, and the reason why I say that is because ideally, which is not the case here, but ideally the Wii U would have had a large enough install base that, of course, it makes sense. Release it like Skyward Sword. It made sense. You release that on the Wii. It's got like 100 million people who can purchase it, and blah blah blah. But when you do this, if it is a launch title for the NX, no one owns an NX. So it's not going to sell like gangbusters because nobody owns the damn system. And by releasing it on the NX and on your original hardware, well, like in this situation, the Wii U is pretty much dead. And so, like, is this even going to sell? It's
not stopping Splatoon and Mario Kart and stuff like that from selling. It's just, I don't know.
You're right. Okay, so enough with all of that. Now we're going to actually get on to, like, the real crux of the show, which is talking about, we actually have 3 different topics that I've written here, and they're very interesting stuff, at least I think so, because I wrote them. The first one is all about what Steven basically wanted to talk about, so I'm going to let him introduce this.
Okay, so how can I put that into words now? So basically, Fire Emblem. Have you heard of that series?
Never. What is it?
And it's weird because this has been, I believe the first one was released in like 1990 for the Famicom, but I could be wrong. It's been like existent for like 26 years. 26 years. No, more than that, right? I'm terrible at math.
Yes, 26 years.
26 years. All right, excellent. So it's been there for a while, and for some reason or another, it's just starting to catch fire here in North America, and even in Japan. It was always more popular there, but never as popular as it is now. And I'm wondering why that is. Like, I'm looking at a system, the new 3DS XL Fire Emblem Fates edition. When they announced that, I was super happy about it, and I wanted one, but I couldn't justify myself to purchase one. But I was wondering if they could sell it, and it sold out everywhere. And I could bet you a few loonies that in 15 years from now, like one of the most expensive 3DS systems out there will be that version, because to my knowledge, it's the only Fire Emblem Special Edition system ever released here. And then there's Fire Emblem Fates, which sells 300,000 copies in its first 3 days. Like, that's unheard of. Like, that's almost Pokemon style numbers. Like, what's happening with the series? Why the sudden surge of popularity? Because what really introduced people to Fire Emblem in North America is Super Smash Brothers. And even then, like, it's not like Fire Emblem on Game Boy Advance sold gangbusters. It's not like Sacred Stone sold much better. And then there was the GameCube one, the Wii one, and the DS one here. None of those sold particularly well. But now, for some reason, Awakening sold 1 million copies plus, and Fates will outsell Awakening. What's happening? What caused the series to suddenly boom?
Amiibo. That's your answer.
But Awakening didn't have any Amiibos, and it sold tons.
I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know. I have no answer, but what I would like to just talk, just to add here, to give you an idea of how insane this is, I'm on eBay right now looking at sold listings for Fire Emblem Fates, okay? Just sold listings. And the average price of Fire Emblem Fates Special Edition is $260. Okay? That's insane, man. Like, yeah, there's some that are $210, some that are $250, but there's all kinds that are like $275, $250, $300, $340. Like, holy crap, man. Just the pouch. Some jackass put just the pouch, that cheap pouch that I don't like. I love the way it looks. I just don't like the way it feels. Sold for $68.24. And the new 3DS is averaging $300. Like, man, that's crazy. And I'm not talking about shipping or anything like that. Like, look at this, $350, $375. Ouch, man.
For the system?
Yeah. That's that is popularity, man. For someone to buy it at $367.95, and I mean, there's dozens here, man. None of them are at retail, like even close to retail. They're all like $360, $350. Like, crap, man. Holy jeez. So, yeah, basically, this series has just like skyrocketed in popularity over the last, let's say, like 4 years. And I have no idea why that is. And people, I'm really here. This will be our question for you guys. Why has Fire Emblem become so popular all of a sudden? Like, what was the trigger for that? It's not like, this was the introduction of the series. Was it the permadeath? Was that the problem, that people didn't like that?
That's one of the possible scenarios that I can think of, is that Awakening really made the series accessible to everybody, which was a really smart thing to do when you look at it. But was that really all it took? I don't know. It can't be just that. Like, it certainly helped, but I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, maybe I don't know.
Although Awakening, for me, is probably one of the best Fire Emblem games out there, and Fate seems to be even better. So, like, it shows that they really put their entire effort into these games, especially Awakening, because, like I told you, that was probably going to be their last Fire Emblem game if it didn't sell, and it did. So now they're happy and they're making more, but I'm just wondering why it's selling suddenly.
Yeah. I don't know. And people, we have a lot of retro fans on the channel here. To give people like some background, Sega had a series that was very similar to Fire Emblem in the Shining Force series. Very, very similar type of series. And it was never that huge. I mean, yes, there was Shining Force 2 and Shining Force 3, Shining Force CD. There were a lot of Shining Force games, but it never reached like mainstream popularity type of thing. Now, you have this Gaia and games like that are like just overboard in what you can do with them in terms of customization options and you know, for your armies and weapons and all this sort of stuff. But with Fire Emblem, what I always loved about it is I always thought it was very accessible with the exception of the permadeath. But the permadeath was there for a reason, was to have an impact on your actions. That was the whole point of having permadeath. And I really liked what they did with Awakening because it made sense. Like, if you want to make this more approachable to people today, yeah, do away with that. I mean, leave it in as an option for sure, but allow people to play it with, like, I don't even know how it works, to be honest with you. But whatever, just allow them that option. But again, it still doesn't answer how or why the series has just exploded, unless maybe it is just like a perfect trifecta of, with Smash Brothers and then with Amiibos and with everything else. But even all of that, it just doesn't seem like it's enough that why the series would gain so much popularity. And I'm not complaining at all, but the fact that right now I am holding in my hands, quite literally, the Fire Emblem Special Edition 3DS or whatever you want to call it, that's an awesome thing. Never in my life did I ever think I would do that I would hold a custom system for Fire Emblem. Honestly, the only thing that would shock me more is to get a custom, say, 3DS for Dragon Quest 7 or 8, like in North America. I think that would like floor me. But even that, not as much as Fire Emblem. Because Dragon Quest has always been popular outside of North America, like ridiculously popular, so they have the finances that they could say, yeah, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. But Fire Emblem isn't. Like, now Fire Emblem is officially a North American series, and that blows my mind. Like, that absolutely blows my mind. So, that's that. So, guys, if you're listening, please let us know. I'd really like to hear what you think about Fire Emblem. Like, why did it all of a sudden explode? I'd really be curious to hear that. So now we're going to move on, and since I did a vlog about this, I want you to talk about this, because you already know how I feel about the Coleco Chameleon, and what does this have anything to do with this podcast?
Well, it would not, usually would not have anything to do with this podcast. Except that their first prototype was basically was a Super Nintendo Junior shoved into a Jaguar shell. And you resumed it quite well in your vlog, but I'm just gonna tell the story again for those that might not know. So basically, you know a bit more though. Why did this happen though? Is it because what was the premise of this? This was before was a retro VGS system that failed. I don't know why, right? And then they decided to get the Coleco, right?
Okay. I'll summarize it for you.
That's a better idea, I believe.
I'm trying to contain my laughter here as you're going. You're like, the retro something or other. Okay, so yeah. The guy that, Mike Kennedy, the guy that was really behind the retro video game magazine, he decided that, you know what, there was a market for a retro-based console that used cartridges today. And his whole thing was to play on people's nostalgia. That was it. He knew he wasn't going to get like young kids and stuff like that, but he was aiming this thing at people in their 30s and 40s that wanted to relive those glory days of Super Mario Bros. 3, of The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, stuff like that. So his whole thing was on Remember When. Okay, and that led to the creation of the Retro VGS, or the Retro Video Game System. Again, keeping it in line with the Retro Video Game Magazine, or the Retro VGM. He was gonna, I assume, have like a whole like slew of products and platforms under that. Like, I wouldn't have been surprised if there would have been the Retro Video Game Handheld, or the Retro VGH. You know, like, I think that's where he was going with all of this. So anyways, the concept was that it would be able to run old classic games on compilation cartridges, as well as indie and homebrew games that were made like today. And there would be exclusive games that would come out on the retro VGS. And he simply wanted to invoke nostalgia in the design itself. He got the rights or permissions to use the Jaguar shell, which was obviously a failed Atari console. I think that was their last one, actually. And then that's that. So the thing was, he was going to originally launch this thing on Kickstarter, but for hardware, Kickstarter requires you to have a prototype design. Okay, you have to have something so that people can see it. You can't just say what your concept is. So at the last minute, he switched gears and threw it up on Indiegogo, because Indiegogo doesn't require you to have a prototype. And, well, that's when everything collapsed. It's because the information didn't make sense. And long story short, I don't want to get into all of that, but long story short, he ended up with something like $80,000 and he wanted like $1.5 million, something like that. And so, obviously, it didn't work. So then he's like, don't worry, we're going to come back, everything's going to be glorious. And he threw like one of the lead engineers under the bus, blaming it all on this other guy. He was like, oh, it's all his fault. He sucks. Ah. And then, so he went to the company that owns the trademark for Coleco, and he re-announces the product as the Coleco Chameleon, saying that the prototype will be up and running for Toy Fair in February of 2016, and this was late last year. And so then Toy Fair comes and goes, and basically, it's found out that a SNES Junior was just literally electrical taped inside the Jaguar shell, and he says, we're going to launch a Kickstarter this Friday, but because of this massive backlash that happened when it was discovered, he's like, oh no, you know what, we're going to go back, we're going to redesign this, we had so much good feedback that we're going to redesign it, everything's going to be great, we'll be back. And then he posts a picture on Facebook or Instagram or one of these things, and it has a translucent shell, a Jaguar shell that's transparent, whatever. And inside is a chipset. And when this chipset was compared, I think it was on NeoGAF, like within minutes, or maybe it was Atari Age, within like literally minutes, they were like, hey, wait a minute, that's my capture card that I use on my PC. All he did was he cut off the end shell, slapped it in there. And sure enough, when you did an overlay and you took the capture card PCB and you put it over the PCB that he showed, they were 100% identical. The picture was then removed from their Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and then radio silence. Then what happened was Coleco, the company that owns like the trademark, basically gave Mike Kennedy 7 business days or 7 days or something like that to give them a working prototype, or they're basically going to pull their licensing, their name, from the project. And then getting even better, Steven, yourself, you're the one who told me that then this guy from Jaguar, it's a channel that deals with, I assume, retro stuff. I didn't really look into the channel much, but this guy was going to help work on the Kickstarter video, and he too was being lied to. And Mike Kennedy was asking him for just voiceovers and stuff like that and shots of families playing nothing. But obviously, you know the way it is, like the Wii U. They're not actually playing on the Wii U when they film those type of commercials. It's just actors doing their thing. And so anyways, and he didn't feel comfortable, the guy like on Jaguar didn't feel comfortable because he was like, well, wait a second. If I just give you voiceover shots and I give you families playing, you could put any product in the world in between those shots and it doesn't need to be real. So he's like, no, like I need to have the prototype in order to make this legit. And that didn't happen, so he pulled out. So basically, this is one of the largest scams I have ever seen in the video game industry. I've never witnessed something like this before, especially considering Mike Kennedy has the reputation from having the Retro Video Game Magazine. It's right beside me, for crying out loud. I actually really like the magazine, but I am not resubscribing because of this. I'm like, no way in hell am I going to give this douchebag money. And this is completely unacceptable. And because, you know, we are a retro channel, and like you said, Steven, the fact that it was a SNES Junior inside the Coleco, not the Coleco, but the Jaguar shell, I wanted, you wanted to mention it. And so, yeah, this actually really pisses me off. I'll be honest. This truly pisses me off because the retro scene, there's a lot of really fine folks that have devoted their life to these platforms that they love. And some douchebag coming out and trying to scam people of their money and everything like that. Like, look, if you don't have the money to get a working prototype, you don't have the money to get a working prototype. But just say it. Like, don't do all of this. It's like, really, it's disgusting.
This looks to me like this guy has a dream, and he doesn't know how to make it, but he needs money. That's, of course, it's obvious. He needs money, but he's trying to take so many shortcuts to get people to fund him, give him the money so he can. I think he actually planned on eventually making a real legitimate product. It's just he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He doesn't. Like, he's not an engineer, right? He doesn't know how to program stuff.
Nope.
He's like you said, he's an editor of a magazine, whatever. He has a passion for retro games, obviously, and has a dream. He has an idea, but he needs other people to create it. And he took like the Super NES into a Jaguar shell was one thing. Like, that's a huge scam. That's a huge problem. But then when he took that capture card, that was the end of it for me. It's just like he basically wants people to give him money, and then he can go and develop this thing from the scratch. And he can't. You need a prototype, like you said. It's just unbelievable the things he did to try and fool people into actually thinking he had a working prototype. Because I don't know nothing about this thing. Like, basically, I know nothing, like I said. But I listened to Pat the NES Punk and Ian's completely unnecessary podcast. And these guys, when it comes to retro, they know their stuff. And basically, Ian was saying that in order for someone to produce a working prototype that can play Super Nintendo games, it would take about 8 months for some real good engineers to create a flawed Super Nintendo prototype. Like, basically, it could work, but it wouldn't work that much. In 8 months, he said that's how long it would take them. And when the Retro VGS was cancelled, all the way to the Toy Fair, I believe there was 2 months in there. So he would have had to create a working Super Nintendo prototype in less than 2 months. It just doesn't add up. And it's just, I don't know how he thought he was going to get away with this. I just don't know. And I don't understand his logic. And the worst thing is, I think this guy thinks he's a victim. I do. I think, like, he tried to, like, when you get a strike on your channel, how does that? What's the word?
What, a copyright?
Yeah, he tried to copyright videos. He really bashed out on people who pointed out these flaws. It's like he thinks he's a victim here. He isn't. He clearly isn't. Like, I don't know what his ego is, but it's like, come on.
No, you said it, man. Honestly, like, at this point there, I'm going to just follow the story to update people because we do have a lot of retro fans. But, guys, I'm telling you right now, do not support this, like, at all. Like I said, I'm not even going to resubscribe to the magazine because I'm just so disgusted. I don't want anything to do with this guy. And there's no way in hell I'm going to give him money. Like, no way in hell.
But this has to be the end of it, right? Like he doesn't have a working prototype, not even close. So there's no way that in 7 days he's going to come up with something. Like, unless he puts another capture card in there, gives it to whoever has the Coleco rights, and then they'll find out. So I don't know what his plan is, but
No, his plan.
I hope that he comes out and apologize and be 100% honest about what happened. But I don't think he will. I don't think he has the balls to do that.
Yeah, me neither. I think he's just going to flee the country or something like that, and that's going to be the end of it, because I think he's just doomed, man. I think that's the end of that. There's no chance. I'm actually excited to see what the guys who hold the Coleco name, what happens, because this is going to be very, very interesting. And you know what else is interesting? The latest rumors for the NX. They've been released by Gino. Now, if you don't know who this guy is, he's basically one of the guys that he's been right in the past on quite a few different things. He leaked info on Microsoft's Illumi Room before it was announced. He also leaked a whole bunch of specifications for the PlayStation 4, being able to say that it was going to indeed run 1080p games, and that the RAM was going to be like at a certain level and a certain quality. I don't have all the details. And the other one was that he revealed the Pokemon types and forms for Pokemon X and Y. So he does have a legitimate background. Okay, is he always right? I don't know. But he was right about those specific things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list off a bunch of these things, okay? And then we'll discuss what was there. And I'm going to try and do this as quickly as I can, just so that, you know, I'm not reading for 4 hours. Okay, so first off, it's going to include a wireless HDMI dongle that's essentially going to attach itself to the back of the handheld. You're going to remove that, plug it into the HDMI of your television, and then that will connect the wireless signal between the two. So yes, that means that the handheld device will also be the console itself. The device is going to use an evolved version of the Wii U streaming technology so that it can display in HD on the TV screen. You're going to get analog controls that are going to have little motors inside them for haptic feedback so that the analogs themselves can move by themselves. The concept is that if you slam into, say, like a wall or something like that, and you have your hands on the analog sticks, instead of just like vibrating a bit, they could actually move your fingers to be like another layer of interactivity. It's going to have a whole bunch of Bluetooth sync options, including smartphones and tablets. You'll actually be able to answer your phone calls and display text messages from your phone on the NX screen. In terms of graphical fidelity or overall power, it said that it's going to be the closest to the Xbox One, but not as powerful as PlayStation 4. Let's see, the technology involved, so the actual components are primarily going to be laptop parts, and it's going to be very similar to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and it's actually been said that the Unreal Engine 4 and Android OS are both going to be built into the console, meaning that if your game was based on Android or was based on the Unreal 4 engine, you'll just easily be able to compile it, get it to work within minutes. If you want to transfer PlayStation 4 or Xbox One games, or port them rather, to the NX, it'll be very low development costs because they're essentially the exact same machine. He says that you should look towards Pokemon Go, in order to understand some of the social features that are going to be included in the NX. And it's supposed to incorporate new modes of multiplayer, augmented reality, and the current Street Pass in bold new directions and ideas. Let's see, the strengths of the device are apparently its usability and ease of use. So in other words, it's going to be very consumer friendly. This one I don't really understand, but apparently developers are saying it's like if Samsung and the Nintendo 2DS had a baby, whatever that means. Apparently it looks, very consumer friendly, but people will be rather surprised by the way it looks. Most likely meaning that it's going to be very sleek in design and probably black. Operating system has actually been codenamed Nintendo OS. and it's supposed to be very powerful and includes many features that are on new mobile operating systems. And finally, we've got what's this? It's about the OS, basically saying that they're being very careful about showing it off for fear that many people are going to think that it's running Android, because it's most likely been based on Android, or at least it shares a lot of similarities with it. And the very last thing is that it's going to be an extremely powerful networking system. It ties into both multiple devices and services and allows for a very competent and pervasive ecosystem designed to constantly involve the consumer's life.
All right, where to begin? For me, there's 2 red flags here. The fact that it's not gonna be as powerful as the PlayStation 4 is a bit intriguing to me, and I'm worried about that. Because one of the key points we mentioned when we said what the NX needed to be in order to be successful was that it needed third-party support, no matter what. And when the PlayStation 5 hits and the Xbox 2 hits, are developers going to continue to release games for the NX if it's not powerful enough? I don't know. And my second point is, if this is indeed a handheld versus / console, how are you going to fit like DVDs and Blu-rays in there? I don't think you will. So this could be the very first digital-only system, which is fine. Although the world is not ready for that, and the reason is that Nintendo needs to sell these systems. And GameStop, Walmart, Best Buy, you name it, will not want to carry a system in which they won't be able to sell games for. So that are my 2 red flags for me right now. What do you think?
Okay, pertaining to discs, I wonder if they could use SD card like almost like DS type of carts, because you could purchase, but again though that might affect cost, because printing Blu-ray discs and stuff like that today is dirt cheap in relation to, well, mind you, SD cards are pretty dirt cheap too.
Yeah, but if you have like games, or like some games are like 50 gigs, like that's not as cheap as a Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Good point. I really don't know. For me, it's like I think I texted you. I said that if this is indeed a handheld, so like a 3DS, a Vita, whatever, it seems to be more like the Shield, the NVIDIA Shield, than anything. Like a very, very powerful little device, but I just don't know. And again, of course, guys, we're talking about rumors here, right? So like, who knows what's really going to happen? But I'm still very skeptical of this whole mid-generation launch. I'm not very comfortable with this. I still think, part of me anyways, still thinks like, what would happen today if Nintendo dropped all the gimmicks and just released a console? Like, would it be an epic failure? Would it? And maybe yes. And the closest that they've done this in the last decades was GameCube. That was the closest they've come. But even then, I'm saying if you released a nice, sleek-looking, sexy box, forget about any of the social aspects, but made it a networking, rich system that, yes, had basically copied the PlayStation 4, okay, something like that, except that you've made it, much more powerful in the sense that it could probably do 4K or something like that, and you don't worry about Blu-ray movies and all that kind of crap, but just the fact that you just laid off any gimmicks, I really wonder, would that be so bad? Would Nintendo fans truly hate that? Because the only thing is, I'm not saying that this is a gimmick, because I really don't know, obviously, but there's something here that is not sitting well with me, and I'm nervous. I've always wanted a handheld that out of the box could connect to the TV. I've always wanted that. Ever since the Game Boy days, I've wanted that. But I'm nervous that if they go down to just one platform, I'm really nervous about that because I don't know. I just don't know. Like, essentially what I'm scared is going to happen right now, truly, is that we're going to get a Wii U, but the whole system's the gamepad. That's what I'm concerned about right now, and that it'll be just a bit beefier than the Wii U. And that if that's the case, I don't know. Like, is that enough to convince you guys? Like, what if it really is the gamepad? Like, that's it. So just take your gamepad that you have right now if you own a Wii U and imagine that's the whole thing. That's your whole console is that. And then you have a little dongle that you can connect to the HDMI of your television in order to stream the HD image to that. Like, does that excite you? I don't know. I really don't know. And I think it's going to be an incredible summer when we get the answer to this, because mark my words, you are going to know what is happening with the NX very, very soon. Like June or July, for sure, we're going to have details on this. But obviously you can't get nervous or anything. These are just rumors. But I do have a very strong sinking suspicion that this is real. Like, we're hearing way too much about this hybrid console thing for it not to be real. And it can't be more powerful than the PS4. It just can't. Not if it's going to be a dedicated handheld device. I just don't see how that's possible. You're not going to get 4K gaming on the go in your hands. And then, of course, it's Steven's old adage that you've been saying for years is that consoles are consoles. Handhelds are handhelds. They're two different types of games. So how are they going to cross that bridge if there really is only going to be one device? So I don't know. And who says there is one device? We don't know. We don't know anything right now. But right now, that's where I stand.
No, I don't really have anything to add on that. Like, I can't wait to hear more, hopefully at E3.
Yeah, I think so. All right, man, so take it away. It's time for some Amiibo news.
All right, so there was a bunch of news during the Direct. They announced that Animal Crossing Amiibo card Series 4 is coming out. That's ridiculous. Like, I think Series 2 was just released here, or maybe even Series 3. I know or Series 3 is coming soon, whatever the case, but they're going to be releasing Series 4, so I wonder if they're ever going to end that. I myself have the complete first series, and I just stopped buying. I'm actually trying to sell all of my spare ones on eBay. They also announced that Isabelle will have a new Amiibo. Well, two new Amiibos. The first one is the Amiibo that was packaged with Amiibo Festival. But they'll also have another Amiibo where she'll be wearing her summer outfit. That's just amazing. I think this is already out in Europe because I've heard of that, but I wasn't aware if they was going to release it here. So if you want all the Amiibos, you can have her with her winter outfit and her with her summer outfits. Of course, you need both.
You're going to do that, aren't
Probably. And they also announced a new line of Amiibos, which will coincide with the release of the new Kirby game. So basically, you'll have Kirby, you'll have Meta Knight, I believe you'll have King Dedede, and you'll have another guy. And these will have blue bases instead of the black one featured on Super Smash series, or the red one featured in the Mario series, or the green one featured in the Animal Crossing series. So these actually look pretty good, so I can't wait to get those. And that's pretty much it for Amiibo news.
Why don't you do a little video on that? You have your phone. You should do a video showing off your Amiibo collection, man. I think that would I would really enjoy that.
Yeah, I plan
but
to.
Don't make it a 2-minute video, though. You always do that.
I plan to eventually. I just need the right setup because I have no idea how to film stuff and make it look sexy. And I want to do it justice. I don't want to put them on a couch and just say, here's Link. And here's
how dare
Pikachu.
you? How dare you?
Yeah.
That's all I ever do. Damn it. All right, so reader mail or blast from the past?
Let's do Blast from the Past to start because
Well, it's your turn.
it's my turn again. And Game Freak announced a game called Jockey something.
Yeah.
You have that name in front of you. You're too lazy to check.
You just said it. Jockey something.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
For the eShops.
It's called Pocket Card Jockey.
Pocket Card Jockey. So I thought I would take a blast just 3 years ago, actually. Because the main goal of this is to talk about forgotten Nintendo games. And while this one is only 3 years old, I believe it is forgotten. And it is Game Freak's last 3DS eShop title. And it was a damn fantastic one. And that game is Harmonite. And nobody's talking about that game, and I don't know why. It was released and quickly forgotten. And I believe I'm the only one who played it. I
played it too.
You played it for like 5 seconds.
How dare you?
But it was a fantastic game and truly a unique game. I've never played something like that since, and I had never played something like that before. It's basically a platformer that is on rails and uses like rhythm and music to have you defeat enemies and go for high scores. So it was a mix of classic platforming, and it mixes like arcade elements like Pac-Man of getting high scores and stuff like that to actually unlock all the levels. And there was only one level out of the entire game that they could not get the high score needed to get the last golden egg, I believe they were. So, but yeah, that's just an amazing game. I really wanted them to release that physically because I believe that it would have given them more what's the word I'm looking for there? More visibility. Yeah, that's right. So it could have maybe sold a bit more. People would have talked a bit more about it, but sadly that wasn't the case. So Harmonite is my Blast from the Past game today. Download it now on your 3DS if you haven't already. You won't regret it. It's a fantastic game.
Basically, what he's saying is that it's a fantastic game.
Yeah.
And the game it reminded me the most of was Patapon. That's what it reminded me the most of. If you don't know, Patapon was, I think it was on the PSP when it originally.
I did play Patapon, yeah.
It's not exactly obviously like that. I'm just saying it reminded me the most of Patapon. It's a very good game though, Harmonite, and it's still on my 3DS. Actually, just transferred on over. Okay, so now reader mail. When I did my Fire Emblem Fates Special Edition, that's right, Special Edition unboxing. It wasn't the system, it was the game itself. Hood Ninja wrote in, and we had a little bit of a back and forth, and Steven joined in too. And basically he put, nice, Best Buy ship mined in a bubble wrapper, so it was crushed. Then we did a back and forth, and he goes, yeah, it was in a bubble mailer. I called and bitched and got it for free, full refund, got to keep it. And my new 3DS Pokemon edition came in yesterday from Best Buy. All the box was foobarbed. I don't want to swear. That's your job. And so he goes, sorry, I think I'm done with Best Buy. So both of us have stories that we would like to share. And since I don't feel like talking, I'm going to keep making you go first.
All right. So I have 3 stories, and the first one is like with Fire Emblem Special Edition. Mine also came in, not a bubble wrapper, but it came in an envelope, and I was extremely lucky. Like first off, like I bought mine from EB Games, and I just think that was a dick move from them. Like this is anything in boxes should be put in boxes. It's simple. It doesn't take like an engineer degree or anything. It's just simple common knowledge. And I was greatly disappointed when I saw that, but thankfully I opened the game and there's no visible damage. Like I was extremely lucky. Like if you look with like a detective loop, you can probably find some little hinges here and there, but that's about it. My second story is with Best Buy, like with this Hood Ninja. Is when I ordered Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival in November, and they shipped it in a fucking envelope again. And it's the second time I swear this podcast. I don't know why. But
monster.
Yeah, I'm a monster. And they ship it in that, and it arrived completely destroyed. Like the box is destroyed and it's useless. And if ever the game, like I don't care about that, but if ever the game, let's say in 10 years, is worth like $1,500 million, like mine is basically worth nothing. And I emailed Best Buy, and I was like really pissed. And thankfully, it turns out that this game is crap, so nobody cares about the game. But I emailed them and like, why the heck did you ship this in an envelope? It arrived completely destroyed. Of course it would. And they told me, we're sorry, ship it back and we'll reimburse you. And I'm like, what good does that give me? Like, I want to play the game now. You're telling me that I would get the game back like in 2 or 3 weeks. And with EB Games, I didn't dare tell them, because if they tell me this, it's like, the game is sold out. I'm not going to send this back to you. It's sold out. You're not going to give me another one. So it's like, I don't get this. Like, it's clear. Like, I probably could have, like, called them and, like, maybe bitched a bit, and they probably would have refunded me. I think Hood Ninja got a full refund for his game. I'm just not like that. I probably should, but, like, it's stupid. And I'll leave my third story is very simple. I told you guys that I imported the OK Watch 2, like, I think I told you that in episode 2 or 3 or 4. Basically, I still haven't gotten the game. And thankfully, yesterday I got a full refund from the guy, because I waited. I didn't know that eBay has a 100-day return policy. So if you wait after 100 days, there's nothing eBay can and will do. So I contacted the seller and I told him, where's the game? And he said he went to the post office. He told me to wait again a bit, and then I waited 2 weeks, and I told him I still hadn't received the game, and he basically gave me a full refund. So it's not that bad of a story, but it's just that I didn't get the game, and that's it. So that are my 3 stories. What about you?
There's only one. I mean, I'm sure I've had more over the years, but there's one that has bothered me forever. And it's funny because, like, I told you about this years ago, and if I remember right, you were like, who cares, whatever, it's just a box. So it's funny to hear you say these stories now. It's funny. It was with The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I looked everywhere to get that game, and I had to go through, guess where?
EB Games?
No guess. Best Buy. And again, it came in like this little envelope type thing, and it was completely crushed. Like, I mean, so bad that the game box itself is cracked. And I was so pissed. But again, much like everything else, that version with the controller sold out very quickly. And when I called them, they were like, the same deal. Oh, well, return it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to return this, but I'm going to go in store. Okay, I'm not going to mail this to you. I'm going to return it to one of the Best Buys here, and you guys are going to have a copy waiting for me. And they're like, oh, sorry, we can't guarantee that. And then I'm like, well, then, sorry, kiss my ass. And so, yeah, that still bothers me to this day, because I love, like, Zelda, of course. And I would have loved to have kept that box, and I wanted to put it up because I love the cover art of it. But alas, no. So that's the main one that I have that really, really pissed me off like no tomorrow. So yeah, that's my story. So thank you, Hood Ninja. You're not alone, man. You're not alone. Okay, and we're going to wrap this short podcast up with a look at, well, not a look, but with a little discussion about what we're playing. I mentioned personally that I'm pretty much done with Final Fantasy Explorers now. I've played probably like 12 hours or 20 hours, or I forget exactly what it was. But then Fire Emblem Fates came out, and I'm about 25 hours into it now. I'm on the very last mission, and I'm dying. It's the one and only mission, but to be fair, I've been doing all the challenges as they've been popping up, and all the invasion matches and everything that's popped up I've done. I haven't scouted for missions, but I've done everything else that's popped up. And to give you an idea, Lilith, every time you give her food in the astral plane, you can level her up. So and you have the opportunity of doing this every single time you complete a challenge, you complete a scout mission, you complete everything. Like I said, I have not done scout missions with the exception of when I first had the option. I just wanted to try, see what they were like. So I haven't leveled up any of my characters outside of the normal route that the game allows you to do. So challenges, invasions, and obviously the main chapters. I have not married someone that I know of, but one of my characters and Corin got together and they have 2 kids. So I'm like, did they have kids out of wedlock? What's happening? I don't quite understand what the hell happened there. Like, I just triggered a scene where they're like, oh, they're all happy-go-lucky, but they didn't say that they got married, and I still get this message every single time I go to my house that says, if you get married, new events will unlock. So I'm sort of like, so I had kids without getting married? Really, Nintendo? That's shocking. Anyways, so the kid missions were they hard. I haven't done the daughter one. There was one for a son, one for a daughter. I did the son one, and it was challenging as hell. 32 rounds it lasted. It was like friggin' like an hour and a half or something like that. It was crazy how long that took. But anyway, so go back to Lilith, to give you an idea, she's at level 98 right now, which means I have done 98 chapters, you could say. Like 98 battles I've done, and I'm on the last match right now, the last chapter right now, and I'm dying. I just can't beat it. It's not even about saving a character or anything like that. It's Corin just keeps getting like destroyed. But I still have a third invasion, and I have the daughter match. But the daughter match, I tried that, and it got destroyed there too. You're surrounded by like level 30 characters all over you, and I don't know, like I just don't know what to do. All my main group now are level 23. The max level is level 20 once you've used the master seal on them, and they're all around like 23 because I use the I forget what it's called, the I don't remember what it's called, but the expansion seal, where basically you can, whatever it's called, allows you to extend a max level past max plus 5. Now, normally with Fire Emblem, if I'm allowed to grind, what I would do is I would max out a character to 20 straight up, then use that seal to get them to 25, then use the master seal to revert them back to level 1, and then get them again to level 25. So essentially, you have 50 levels on your characters, making them the absolute strongest they can be. But considering that Birthright was so easy, I didn't feel really the need to do that. But I will say that right now, this is quite challenging. Every single move that I'd say, starting with chapter 21, 22, every move I made, I had to be exceedingly careful. I had to pair up pretty much all of my team in order to keep them alive. It's been an incredible experience, and it's just a phenomenal game. And I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to go back and play through the others, but I really want to. But I think I'm going to put them on super easy, where the characters will just resurrect immediately, only because I just want to experience the story, and I'm just not going to have another 25 hours to devote to the game. Because I mentioned last time that I did have Gravity Rush, and it's been sitting on my desk here for a while, and I specifically said I don't want to purchase games if I'm not going to play them. And I just haven't had a chance yet. So I really want to get into that. However, I'm kind of amazed. Something is supposed to arrive today, and I'm amazed that the doorbell hasn't gone off, because Twilight Princess is supposed to be arriving any minute now.
Yeah, that's right. Did you try the DLC for Fire Emblem? Because it is out now, and I believe you bought the first pack. So you could play that and level up.
Yeah, but you can only level up till max level.
Sure, but then, like you said, you can use the Master Seal and stuff like that.
Oh, I've already done all that, though. That's the thing. Like, I used the Master Seal when my characters were level 10, which was the mistake.
Yeah.
But it's okay. If I'm on the last stage, so if I lose half the team, I lose half the team. But my problem right now is it's Corin. She's just dying, like, so easily. One archer finds her, she's dead.
Mm-hmm. But you didn't try the DLC though.
I tried the free DLC and I tried the paid DLC. There were 3 maps that were available, I think, at launch. I tried all 3 of those. I beat all 3 of those, but I have not tried the new that just got released. I didn't try that.
Okay.
And it was good, by the way.
But is there like are they clear about what levels you should be when you try them?
That's a good question. That's a good question, man. I don't know. I tried them very early on, and they were hard as hell. I'll check. I don't want to. I don't know. What about you?
Well, me, I'm about 7 hours into Fire Emblem Conquest, and then I stopped because amazingly, all those 7 hours are in 2 days. Like I was addicted to Conquest, but like I said in the last podcast, this last Saturday was Pokemon Day. This is when they release Yellow, Blue, and Red on the Virtual Console, and these are games I have not played in like 15 years, and I used to adore those games. So I know that I was going to spend some time with them, and my original plan was always to beat Yellow and try to get all 151 Pokemon in Yellow. And then a friend and I are doing a Nuzlocke right now, where basically he's playing through Pokemon Blue, I'm playing through Pokemon Red, and we're having a special challenge while every time it's basically like Fire Emblem, we turn permanent off. So if we lose a Pokemon, we lose him for good, we can't use him anymore. We can only capture 1 Pokemon in every route, and it needs to be the first encounter. If we fail, that's it. And after every gym battle, we basically have a one-on-one battle versus each other, and we only bring 1 Pokemon in the loser. That Pokemon is considered dead and cannot be used. So basically, we're playing the game in extreme mode, and we're having fun. So I'm playing 2 games at the same time, 2 Pokemon at the same time, and I've also bought Blue, and I'm telling myself that eventually, in a few years, I'll probably want to revisit it, so I might as well own it. And this is my favorite series, so why not? But I told you that if you ever want to start playing this, don't start with these games. And I always thought that the reason I love these games so much was nostalgia. It turns out that no, these games are, I was going to swear again, these games are masterpieces. Simple as that. They're awesome games. And I don't know why I thought they were nostalgia. Sure, there's nostalgia. Like, I'm gonna enjoy these games a lot more than if you would play them, because I grew up with these games. But they're just fantastic games, period. And I'm really gladly surprised by that, because there are a lot of aging factors about these games. There are a lot of stuff that were improved in future versions of Pokemon, but I just don't care. The gameplay here is just so solid, and the difficulty, my God. I thought that these games were hard because when I was playing these games, I was 12 years old, so I was just a kid. I thought it was because of that these games were hard, but it's not because of that. These games were hard because back then games were designed to be hard. And it's still true today. Like, of course, I'm not gonna have any problems beating this game because I know these games almost by heart, and it's an RPG, so I can always just grind. But it's gonna be interesting to see if I'm gonna be able to do the Nuzlocke of Pokemon Red, because this is extremely challenging, and I have no clue. And I'm telling you for sure, I'm reviewing those games, and I'm gonna make you get me footage for those games. You're probably gonna have to use an emulator like we've discussed, and it's pretty simple, but I need footage for that, and I'm gonna review these because these are like my babies. Like, I'm extremely passionate about these, and I can't wait to finally get a chance to review them. And yeah, I'm really extremely glad about these games. I think I'm 15 or 16 hours into Yellow, and Red. We've only had 1 gameplay session so far. We only had 1 chance to play them, so I'm only about 2 hours and a half into them. But I'm having a blast. These are amazing games, and every chance I have, I'm actually playing them. And although I still maintain that if you're new to the series, you should probably start with Pokemon Black. Like, since you're like a retro fan, I think you I could see you potentially having fun playing these. Again, I know you don't have the time for that, but I potentially see you having fun playing these. So I'm surprised, really, really looking forward to playing more.
And with that, I guess we can say goodbye. It's been a nice 2 hours we've spent with each other. My goodness, I gotta go capture more footage of Animal Crossing. Wow. And then hopefully I can finish Fire Emblem. But no, that's good. It's funny you mentioned Pokemon because like I saw them on the eShop and I actually was like, you know what? Maybe I'll surprise Steven.
Well, you should actually just get one of them. But I will probably consider. I would tell you to get yellow because yellow is the improved version. It actually has color in it. So it really is the better version out of the three. But yeah, try it out. Mess around with them for like an hour or two. And maybe in the next podcast we can have your impressions on those.
Yeah, exactly. That would be fun. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. And if there's something to talk about, we'll do another podcast next week. If not, well, then you'll just have to see my ugly mug in some video. Thanks a lot for joining, everyone. Take care.